Elite podcast where I sound like a fucking idiot. I can't talk. I sound like Stevie Richards. This sucks. This show is gonna suck today. I'm sorry. I ruined it. I can't talk. Shit. Welcome to the All Elite podcast. Sound like Stevie Richards. Welcome to the All Elite podcast. Sound like Stevie Richards. Shit.
You're tuned into Too Sweet Elite with Andrew and AJ, presented by the AEP.
Shit.
Welcome back, All Elite family, to another exciting edition of the All Elite podcast with your boys, Big Match AJ and All Elite Andrew. As you can see, our boy AJ might be a little under the weather today.
Hi.
Might sound a little funny, but we're back. How you doing, AJ?
I'm good, man. Yeah.
I popped you, brother.
What was that?
That's a new theme song. This is Welcome to All Elite podcast.
As if maybe I'll sound the same next week. We'll still use it. I'm good, man. Everything's pretty chill here. How are you?
I'm busy.
You're busy.
Busy as hell, and it's annoying, but it's life, you know what I mean? I also got a random, well, not totally random, but my website charged today, so that was lit. Random $300
Sweet.
out of my bank account, didn't see coming, so today's a blessing. It's a blessing for both of us, brother. We're both happy to be alive, should we say. But Dynamite was great last night, so we got that to talk about. Got a little bit of news to discuss, so it's not all negativity today. That's why we needed the fun to kick off the show. Made everything, set the tone just where we need it to be. AEW is dying, brother. The ratings
we're
are
dead.
down. They're in
over.
the dumps. They're at 880,000 or something.
889. God damn, we're fucked. It's over.
There's new competition in town. President Biden, you know.
Yep.
Trying to compete. He heard that NXT was off Wednesdays. He knew that he could put on a good showing.
Mm-hmm.
Heard he had a 5-star classic. I don't know who he was wrestling with. I know he buried Trump last
Kamala
time.
Harris, dude.
Oh God, they were
No,
probably
they're
tag
fighting
team.
now.
Nah.
Oh yeah, there was a tag team against whoever.
Whoever, yeah. See,
I can't think
you're
of
out
any
it, dude.
politicians. Jeb Bush and
Nah, it was the Clinton fam. It was Hillary and Bill teaming up against Biden and
Yo.
Kamala, you know? So that's a big show, and I understand why AEW is down.
I would watch that over AEW.
See, well, and here's the thing. A lot of people wanted to watch what Biden was talking about yesterday. I honestly have no idea. I'm apparently one of those ignorant Americans who didn't care.
Same.
I was honestly really busy last night, too, so I caught bits and pieces of Dynamite last night. I had to watch the rest today. But, yeah, I saw Zevo in the WrestleJoy chat. He was like, oh, I got to go check out this political shit. See you guys tomorrow. And I thought he was, like, joking. I thought he'd be right back, and then he never came back. And then B-Man was talking about Biden talking, and I was like,
Oh, so you had like no idea. I at least knew, I guess.
yeah, I don't care. I'm an ignorant American this week. I'm way too busy to care about politics for sure. So I don't know what was actually going on. Obviously, me and AJ trying to make some jokes. Hopefully, nobody gets too upset about our political correctness or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I don't know. Apparently, politics are going on. That's why AEW is down. Next week will be an interesting thing. I mean, Blood and Guts, they could see a massive jump again, like from 8 to 1.2.
Yeah, I think prediction-wise, like, because they don't really have anything
All
up
right,
against.
Johnny Ace, calm down.
Whatever, man. Whatever. They got, I think they're going to be number one on cable next week.
They could be. So as long as I don't know what the competition is, obviously, as I didn't know this week, but Biden can't have that much to say, right? He's not coming back.
I don't think that's the thing. I don't think there is anything. I think the show that was like a reality show ended last week, and now I think there's nothing up against AEW anymore, really.
Yeah, so I mean, unless Bill Clinton and Hillary want their rematch, it should be all
Yeah.
right. So, somebody who might be coming back to AEW, Takeshita, he did a little bit of an interview in Japan and was talking about his time with AEW, working with AEW Dark and Dark Elevation, and like his interview, they should find a way to get that to American fans because the way he presents it is really cool. Like it's what you would want from the presentation. Like he was like, yeah, Dark Elevation and Dark is kind of like the lower card. And then Dynamite is like their mainstream guys. That's where I want to be. That's who I want to compete against. I want to, first of all, like, because they asked him, who would you want to compete with from over there? And he's like, first of all, I'm not trying to wrestle on these rinky-dink shows anymore. I want to be on Dynamite. And then he's like, I want to fight Kenny, and I'd like to fight Jericho as well. So those would be two really cool matches.
Yeah, Takeshita put on a great showing every time he was there in AEW. I would love to see him back, and I think he is one of the guys who does honestly deserve to be on Dynamite if he does come back.
Well, and that's what
Because he's
makes it cool,
coming.
right? Because like he probably could have been on Dynamite from the get go. I'm sure most of those guys probably knew it, right? But you introduce him on Dark and Dark Elevation the same way you do a lot of your other unknown indie guys. It adds hype to him. It adds hype
Yeah.
to that show. Like next time there's a foreign talent, maybe from Mexico or Japan or wherever, they appear on Dark Elevation. I'm gonna take a lot more of recognition of them, right? Like I took time to watch this Takeshita match anyway, but I will take time to watch that match as it airs probably because okay, they're bringing in some of these talent, they're letting them get an opportunity on this show, even if they're some of the best. And I think that's a really cool way to set a precedent and a standard for bringing in talent from other companies that people might not be as familiar with, such as DDT. So yeah, the Takeshita thing is cool. I think the biggest dead giveaway that he had a great run with his short run with AEW is, and I might have worded this wrong, Jericho actually had a conversation with him and was like, when you come back, we should work. Jericho always wants to work with the guys that are good and he could make some money with. So if he's telling Takeshita he'd like to work with him that early, I think that's a good sign.
100%, absolutely. I don't have too much to add to that. I'm a big fan of Takeshita, and for the exact reasons that you said. I wasn't familiar with him before. He's been in DDT a long time. I haven't really seen him. Like Johnny saw him, but he's a DDT guy, so that makes sense. You and me, we're not really, and a lot of people aren't. So I think it makes sense to introduce him slowly, and then you bring him back. You can bring him on Dynamite, and you can make it work.
Yeah. And so, also within the news this week or today after Dynamite last night, Jon Moxley going to be defending the title against Yuji Nagata. You were real excited about this. Now, and like I said, I was popping in and out of Dynamite, and I tried to rewatch most of it prior to the show, but I honestly didn't catch how this came about. So was there just an announcement of a match? And
Yeah, just an announcement. Okay. That's it.
That's what I figured.
And I'm sure they'll do like some kind of promo package hyping up Nagata and I'm sure New Japan will give them footage for that because they'll want to make him look good anyways.
How old is he, man?
He's up there, but like, I mean, Chris Jericho's up there. We're not shitting on him, right? Like Yuji Nagata, as far as
I know it'll be a good match. You know what I mean? I don't want to get people too riled up and talking about his age. I'm just saying.
He's up there. He's like in some like a lot of places. He's a Hall of Famer. So like, of course he's up there. But he's a great worker. He's always been a great worker. And you might remember him if you were like Zevo might remember this guy. He watched the '90s WCW, and that's why he was on WCW in like '90s.
I actually remember that. Like, not necessarily watching him a lot, but definitely seeing him in the game for sure. The WCW versus NWO Revenge game. I'm 90% sure he was in that. So
I think so.
This is an interesting match, right? Obviously, because if for no other reason, like this is the real Forbidden Door being broken down, right?
Yeah.
This is the first New Japan match on AEW television. It's for a title. We'll probably see Mox drop the belt here. I feel like
I don't know.
I
don't think so. I don't think they're dropping it to Nagata because Nagata, like, he's kind of old and he's kind of doing like that old man. I'm in tag teams now, mostly matches. You know, that kind of New Japan thing where they're like kind of telling you're on the way out.
Fair enough, and you could be right, and I do agree, but I just think sort of the storytelling, maybe Kenny or someone in that group cost Mox the title. That's just my thought process there. You never know, though. It's a really cool match, right? And it adds to the intrigue of next week's show. It explains, and I think I said this going into Dynamite last night, like they're not just going to do a one-match show like we had talked about. They're going to switch off of that idea, and it's cool that they presented it. I think everybody recognized where it didn't have to be that, so
yeah,
and it'll be better for it, so.
It definitely will be better for it, and it looks like a great card. We'll talk about it more, obviously, Tuesday. But it looks like a really fun show, and I think it's going to pop a big rating. And honestly, that is important to them still. And it's not that they're at war. There's never really about a war, but like
they're at war with Biden now, brother.
Yeah,
they're going to lose that one every time.
Like, they don't make their big money off of pay-per-views. They make it off of like TV advertisements, and like that's going to be a big thing for them. This like could potentially, in my opinion, be the biggest rating since they've started.
It could, for sure. There's so much built into it. People really like the specialty match things. I could see a lot of WWE fans being like, oh, there's a War Games match, I should really check that out. Like, I can imagine being a non AEW fan, this would probably be a really good time to get started.
Yeah, because it's like it's on free TV. It's 3 big matches. Like it's an easy way to just slide in and be entertained.
To see some of the biggest guys you might not be familiar with, even though, and there's a lot of guys in that match that you can be familiar with in the Revival and Hager and Jericho. So even if you've never watched a minute of AEW, I feel like you could watch next week's show and kind of really, really like it. And even if maybe you're a New Japan only guy, like you got Nagata there too. So they did a really good job.
Well, Nagata's not next week. That's the week after.
Is it? Okay. So, because they're teaming up next week. He's teaming up with Kingston next week. Okay, yeah, good point.
Oh yeah, and I just want to say real quick, from an old friend, it would have been way better if it was fucking not Nakazawa, but instead Kenny Omega, and he demanded it was also Don Callis. Our old friend Phil said that, and I was like, that would have been sick.
That would have been sick. I agree with that. And the last bit about Nagata, like that's a great opening person to have kind of bring over from New, and I'm wrong actually. I can't believe I said this was the first New Japan involvement because we obviously had Kenta involved a couple months back. But this is really cool, and it's not huge names, right? It's just some of the smaller names. So when that eventual Okada moment happens, it's going to be incredible. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, you're kind of right that it is a bigger deal because like Kenta had a match in AEW, official match, and that is a big deal.
Unofficial, it was unsanctioned technically.
Oh, you're right. Okay, then, but you know what I'm saying? Like he was on AEW TV wrestling, but like the title match was on New Japan Strong. They haven't defended the title on AEW, and this is a New Japan title being defended on AEW, a title they don't even showcase him with on AEW TV.
Mm-hmm. And that's really cool too. And the times that we see other companies' titles defended on AEW is really cool too, because you just get a special match on a show that like, and it's only the New Japan US title, kind of the same way we've only seen the NWA Women's title defended on Dynamite, but it's still, it almost adds legitimacy to both things, like the title and the show we're watching.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it just adds something to each thing, so it really works out well. The last bit of news is we can put to bed any of the rumors about the NHL thing. It seems like Tony Khan has pretty much said that's not going to happen with their contract. He said he would listen, obviously, because he's a smart businessman if they had something they wanted to discuss. And, hey, you never know. If you could get another year out of your deal by switching to Thursdays, he'd be dumb not to. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Something like that. Just tossing something out there. But it's good to know that there likely won't be an issue, even though we kind of assume that.
Yeah, no, I mean, the news came out, it seemed more and more like it wasn't going to be an issue, and I guess getting confirmation on that is cool.
Yeah, exactly. And especially from Khan himself. It's the easiest way to go with it. So let's go ahead and talk about Dynamite. The show opened very quickly with Hangman Page versus Brian Cage, and this was a great, solid match. They actually had a pre-match situation where the Team Taz attacks Hangman, and this sort of made sense to me. Taz had talked about he's seen a weakness in Hangman's game, and apparently it's his entrance because he caught him slacking. The Dark Order did make the save, but this gave Cage the little bit of advantage he needed to pick up the victory here, AJ, like we predicted.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, would you call this a clean victory?
It was pretty close, right?
Like it borders, but he also hit him on the April, because they were talking on Wrestling Observer Live and they were calling it a clean victory, and I was like, what?
It's pretty clean. That's what I'll say. Because you're right, there was definitely that pre-match attack, him to be beaten down a little bit, but the finish, the actual finish, like he had an opportunity. But I think you're right. Like he was. It
doesn't feel clean to me. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's fair, but it's still the pinfall, the victory itself was clean. I give him
that's
that.
True. Like he fucking wrecked him. No argument. Like, but like I kind of wish they didn't do that pre-match shit because it feels like it's almost a little tainted to me. Like it's not
the idea. So you can. I know that's the idea. You know?
But like I thought it would be cool if you just saw Brian Cage go in and like actually just dominate a little bit and win and come out on top. But like whatever, it's cool. I'm not upset about it. I'm just like I don't know.
I think it builds up to a really good potential pay-per-view match, in my opinion. I think you do Cage and Page maybe in a cage like Zevo's been calling for, but no, you do Hangman Page versus Brian Cage for a number one contenders match at the pay-per-view. That way you have something to build off of the pay-per-view and two really great contenders for Kenny that you can really sell either one of them. Like you can easily sell me Cage winning that match over Hangman just because the Hangman story can still continue without the title match right now, you know? I mean, Brian Cage versus Kenny can be a match that sort of has implications that have come prior to even Brian being in AEW officially, you know? So I think that's where they're building, and I would appreciate it if it is, because I think that the match they had on Dynamite, while it didn't open clean, we will get that at the pay-per-view. So
Yeah. No, that's for sure. I agree with that. And if they do a pay-per-view run with this, that's fine by me, because like you said, this is a great matchup, and this match was great. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, this was bullshit because they opened with a weird thing that I thought I didn't like. I'm not even saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying, like, I thought it would have been cool.
For sure. Kenny Omega backstage does a little bit of a promo talking about how Mox and Kingston, they hit the trailer, all this being an issue. This sets up Eddie Kingston versus Nakazawa later in the show if Eddie wants to get at them. So, what do you think of the promo? It was obviously way better than what I'm done trying to deliver full promo.
Yeah,
what
no,
happened on Dynamite anymore.
Makes sense. No, it was good. Omega's been on a roll, man. I think he's really come into this persona. I think he really works well as a heel, and also I think he's grown even like as a heel, like even compared to like 2018 New Japan or whatever it was.
Well,
like I think
he's just gonna he's so smart. He's gonna do it different, right? Because he's in a different country. He recognizes that fact, but
no, exactly. But like. The question could have been like, well, can he do it like at a top level? Like, can he pull off? Can he be that charismatic and that heelish and be the top heel of the company and carry the title? And yeah, he can. Mm-hmm. Like, he can totally do that in an American company. Like, it's not just wacky promos or speaking Japanese. Sometimes we're not speaking Japanese on purpose, whatever it may be. Like, it's really good. He's like, I know they're like talking Nick Bockwinkel a lot, but like it does give off that vibe.
Yeah, I like what he's been doing lately. His heel stuff just it pops me because half of it's funny and half of it's like douchey, and you're like, this is great. And I really like what he presented throughout this whole show. So yeah, Kenny's great. We get the Young Bucks versus the Seidel's. This was a decent little match. We had Don Callis on commentary. Young Bucks win with the BTE trigger. Matt Sydal looked really good for moments. After the match, Brandon Cutler comes down with some cold spray and ice bags. I liked that. But before they could do too much celebrating, SCU come out and they start running down the Bucks for changing their attitudes, say they're coming for the belts. They say that they'll make the company better without those assholes in it. I'm not going to lie. I thought Daniels and Kaz did not do the best at these promos. They were just small pieces of it that tainted the whole thing, and when they're guys of that length of being there, it's what brings it down a bit for me. But they did it. This was all right. It sets up something. It feels like too much foreshadowing to me, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree because I wanted to be into it. I was like, yeah, Christopher Daniels is doing a promo, and I'm like, oh, it wasn't that good. I don't know, because I like Christopher Daniels a lot, and I think he's a great person on the mic. But I don't know. Wasn't really there for me. But like you said, it sets it up. I don't know if it's too much foreshadowing. I wouldn't go that far.
Well, they're having a fatal four-way next week for a number one contender shot with a tag team with SCU in it. Like, to me, that's too much. Way too much.
You're right. I forgot about that match.
Yeah, to me, that's a tell. And what I like about AEW, though, is that it's not always a tell, right? Like, sometimes SCU or whatever tag team or person may be in this position of setting up a match for the future doesn't actually get it. But the problem with it being SCU is if they lose, they're not a tag team anymore. So I just really like that. If that wasn't enough of a tell, the fact that they came out and did this promo right here really tells me that they're going to win that match next week, which involves I don't really care because all the other teams in it, like, it's all a toss up for me in terms of the teams in that match. And like you said, we'll talk about it Tuesday. But no, I think that it was just a bit of a tell, and the promo didn't really hit as hard as you're right. Daniels can cut a great promo, but for some reason this just wasn't really there. It's like he didn't feel it, which is totally understandable. He might just be a little bit out of it as much as compared to, like, obviously his runs when he's in TNA. He's just wrestling so much more. Right now he's much more of a producer, I would say, which he does a fantastic job at. So. Oh
yeah, like, he's an amazing person to have in the company. But not just that. Also, I was gonna mention, they haven't. I don't know if this might be like the first time he's ever promoted in front of like so little fans in front of a big stadium.
Oh, okay, yeah, I was gonna say the little fans. I mean, all those guys have been in front of little fans, but yeah, in a big stadium, it was probably just different. But yeah, there was just, and it wasn't bad promo work. The promo itself was okay, average, but then the thing that even brought it down a notch was just like the little slips that each one of them
like
had.
The little idiosyncrasies where they just messed up for a second.
Yeah, exactly. And they're pros, so they're able to keep it going, but it's like for that just a second you're like, but it was fine. We then got a Jade promo, which was definitely the same thing we got last week.
Exactly
which was not
the same
best.
thing.
At the end of it, I said this is exactly why Jade needs a manager, because her promo, again, not bad, but you when we compare the two not bad promos, hers was bad. Like, I mean, if we look at it that way, because it's not like she fucked a whole lot of stuff up, or like it was the most unbelievable acting or what. Like,
She's just green.
yeah, it's just really, really green, and just so it didn't come off very well. And she needs a manager, and she'll
It
do
kind of
better
just sounds
for
like she's like remembering things and saying them angrily.
it. Yeah, it just wasn't there for me. So, but she still is, and if she gets a really great manager, like maybe Taz ends up not with Team Taz and starts just building up the women's division or something, because it seems like Team Taz is falling apart. We'll talk
Team
about that.
Taz is not doing well.
Talk about that more in a couple minutes. We got Orange Cassidy picking up a victory over Pentagon. Alex tried to get involved again, but it was to no avail.
Damn it.
Trent passes the mic off to Orange Cassidy. He Superman punches Pentagon. What a cheater, dude! Like,
Cheating bitch.
Get out of here, Orange Cassidy, with you're like so slow and sloth like, and now you have to cheat to win over
Dumb cheater.
a legend like Pentagon.
It's really
this was a fun match, right? Like,
it was a fun match. Oh no, this was a great match. They both. I don't think any of them, either of them, fucked up at any point in this match. I think this was like, oh, actually, you know what? Orange Cassidy needs to stop doing the fucking diving DDT, dude. I'm sick of the diving DDT. It didn't work in Chikara, hasn't worked for like 15 fucking years, and he's still trying it. Like, oh, this time it's gonna look cool. It's like, it never looks cool, dude. Never. Like, maybe one time there's like a YouTube clip of like it looking cool, and that's all you're gonna find.
Man,
because
dude,
on average, like, this move don't work. Sorry.
we're supposed to bury them tossing the sunglasses to Trent, not the diving DDT, brother. Trent really missed the ball there, but that made it even better, right? Like, Trent not catching it, I think.
Oh no, it was perfect.
The match was great. I think that these two could have a stellar match. Like, if it were to ever actually be a real, like, and there is a storyline attached to this, but if they were ever to have a singles story, I think it could be great, because just what these two are able to do with the fun little aspects of each character, that for some reason they come together so well. I feel like just Pentagon when he took the glove off and like doing the mocking thing, throws it to Alex, and then same thing with Trent. Like, just those little things that they could do. They obviously didn't utilize all of them in this match, so you know that they could just do a lot of fun stuff. The match itself was good. Is this the
first time they've like wrestled? Like, I mean, one-on-one, yeah, probably. But like
maybe
in general,
maybe not. I think
I feel like I've seen him do that in his face like before.
I think I've seen that match at a WrestleMania weekend show like 2 years ago, but I could be totally off. I just think I've seen these two have something together, and that's what, after seeing them again, maybe not, right? Maybe it's one of those moments where you're like, these two just should have matches all the time.
They should. They definitely should.
It feels like it. So, and from there we get a Britt Baker promo, which was a really solid promo. She's talking about she's the best in the company, the new #1 contender, as we anticipated, and right underneath her, people better pay attention. Thunder Rosa.
Thunder Rosa.
That's
somebody who is not signed to the company is #2 in the rankings. That makes sense. Cool, Tony Khan. Thanks.
She's probably signed, bro. Get out of here.
Whatever. They haven't announced
she's
that.
Probably not. I mean, who knows? Because she's definitely still doing NWA work, so I don't know that she could sign exclusive to AEW right now. But I'm fine with her being #2. There are much worse rankings issues than that. Ricky Starks being like 10-0 on the year and then not being ranked and then lose. Like, it was just a joke. But this is good. I like the promo. It was fine. Sets up Hikaru versus Britt, and then I really do anticipate Britt versus Thunder Rosa again for the title to really legitimize Britt as the champion, right? Because then she's able to win in a regular match against Rosa and retain the title. Like, they're booking Britt so great right now, and it might not even go exactly how I'm anticipating.
Hikaru might win. I don't know. Like, that's the great thing about this is I don't know.
Well, yeah, and we talked about that with Zevo, right? Like, they could save her victory or her loss, I should say, for crowd. Yeah. So, and there'll probably be a lot at that Jacksonville show. I don't know for sure what they're doing, but for all intents and purposes, they could go full capacity.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, yeah, they could. I mean, they have ran events at full capacity at Daly's place, so yeah, they could.
MGK did a concert there. They definitely have the permission to do full capacity, and I could definitely understand waiting as long as you possibly can before announcing that, so you get as light blowback as possible, right? Like UFC has already ran in Jacksonville. There was a concert in Jacksonville. There was a WWE show in Tampa. Like, there's been so much that has gone on in Florida now that they can run that pay-per-view at full capacity, which a lot of fans, I think, are anticipating that, because I've seen a couple of people talking about, I've already got airfare and hotel. I'm just waiting for the tickets to go on sale.
Oh, man.
Like, I get it, but good luck.
I would go hotel, not airfare. You can refund the hotel easier.
Yeah, I agree. But, I mean, there's resale tickets and shit, so maybe they'll be down to pay the upper price of that. But I really think they're going to release more. I think, like, everything says that, right? Like, it should be, the writing should be on the wall, especially if you look at just where the world is at today. So, like, right now, with concerts and stuff being announced, it makes a lot of sense for them to probably announce it, maybe even on next week's Dynamite or something, so.
Yeah.
We got the parlay where they established which team has the advantage. Sammy Guevara talks about how he's going to start the match first. They have a great little back and forth between both sides. FTR and Proud and Powerful kind of go at each other. Sammy and Spears go at each other, which is what set up Sammy being the guy to start the match. And we got Jericho versus MJF as, both going at each other as well. So
Sean Spears talking, bro. He was promoing on Sammy, beating him down verbally.
The rating
left
was so
and
bad
right.
this week.
Bop, bop, bop. He was on fire. Everybody was like, Sean Spears.
I heard the quarter hour for this promo did so bad because of Sean Spears starting it out. Like 200,000 just tuned out. Said, I'd rather watch Biden than this shit.
No, it's not true.
This was good. This was really long, though, and I don't mind him doing it,
It
but
was
it
really
was way long.
This was some great promo work, wasn't it? From like everyone who talked. Anyways, obviously Hager and Wardlow didn't talk. That's fine though.
I mean, they let that guy go at the beginning, so they got the shitty stuff out of the way. Now Spears was even all right? Like
everybody was really solid. Like, and like some of it, like Santana Ortiz and FTR, that was fucking heated, dude. I thought they were gonna fight,
and Santana and Ortiz didn't even really have to say much for that, right? And and Sammy and Spears both bringing it in that promo was great because they both might not sometimes, right? Like Sammy's promos are typically okay, Spears are typically okay, but sometimes they both kind of suck at times. But they all brought it. This segment was really good. They did a great job at it, and there wasn't really a need for a huge brawl because they had security. Like there was an explanation of why they wouldn't brawl, and I was so happy about it when the security came out. I was like, oh, they didn't need to do any of the stuff we suggested, but they did what we suggested, which was great.
I like the inner circle. Like they had bikers come out, and the biker drove over the pyro. So like you just hear.
I love that you caught that. That's what I loved because
you could still see it hitting the bike, like when they cut to the biker.
That's freaking insane. The parlay was good though. Kingston, and then we cut to Eddie Kingston versus Nakazawa. Kingston comes out. He says he's not doing any of this sports entertainment crap. He calls out Kenny. Kenny comes out. He says that he's the one who's supposed to be mad. He's sending the goons at Kingston. Knock tries to hit him with the computer a couple times. Kingston then destroys Nakazawa. He says he's going to break his freaking leg. Kenny's concerned for all of 2 seconds and is like, that's what he signed up for. He then calls for Cutler to come out and make the save, but Cutler's tossed by Mox. Mox then beats the shit out of Kenny. They both beat up Kenny for a minute, get his leg like they're about to break it, and make Don Callis agree to a match between Nakazawa and Kenny versus Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley, which will take place next week. You have the champion on next week. You have Moxley on next week. Kingston's been great. Poor Nakazawa's going to get wrecked.
Yeah, how would you feel if you were Nakazawa? Like, Kenny was going to let your ankle get broken. Now you have to tag team with him. Everything sucks.
He's used to it. He's just his best friend. He's a good guy. I don't know.
I guess so.
He's been solid so far. So yeah, this was a cool way to set this up. I think they did a really smart job with this of setting it up like this and setting us a tag team match for next week. And this Nakazawa Kenny relationship is now just so much better than it ever was a year and a half ago, right? Like now that it's a heel situation, we're almost gaining sympathy for Nakazawa at this point, and he was someone that I just really didn't like for so long. So.
And also I just love that he stole QT Marshall's gimmick.
What? Just by wearing the headset or what?
No, like he wears the headset, but he also had an apple. I don't know if he still does, but on Dark Elevation he would come out with an apple.
Okay, that is kind of funny if that's going on. So, I didn't think the Sammy G commercial was funny. I thought this was different. Like it was. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where he
I
comes out
don't,
with the
dude.
cards and he's like, see, and that's the thing. When I was rewatching,
I know what you're talking about now, but I didn't see it.
Okay. Well, yeah, it was like a little commercial for Blood and Guts next week, but it was just kind of different. Like Sammy's just and he's just staring at you, and at the end it was like 30 seconds long.
So like it wasn't picture in picture.
It might. What do you mean?
Like he does the card gimmick in picture.
No, this was for me on my screen because I rewatched the show, and then this is where I caught this part.
Did you watch a stream? Maybe it was the fight stream.
I just told you I rewatched it, so it could have been like the fight TV version. But yeah, dude is just like. It was very strange. It was a weird commercial. I was like, what is this? What is going on? Especially because they were talking about Taz was going to be up next, but instead it was Sammy. So yeah, it was a commercial. Taz did cut a promo though, talking up Brian Cage and his victory, but he also started shitting on Christian Cage. But Christian showed up. He started talking about how Taz has been surrounding himself with big guys to look good, says he's everything that Taz wishes he could be because he was able to come back. He also talks about how he's not about win or lose, he's about win or learn. So he taught Hobbs a lesson, he's going to teach Starks a lesson if he needs to, and they'll thank him for it later. Looks like Christian's taking Team Taz. At least one of them. I freaking hope so. If it's not Ricky, I'll be legit pissy. Not actually mad at the story because it's great whoever he takes, but it should be 100%. And that I hope we get the match first though, like Christian versus Ricky, and then Ricky aligns with him in some way, shape, or form because I think they could have a great match. But they did a really good job at building this up, and we still don't know what's gonna happen, right? And that it's funny that they're able to do this Team Taz thing and draw it out in a way that I wasn't expecting, right? Like it's definitely not the Team Canada thing I was talking about early on, but they're still able to draw it out in a way that is actually compelling. Like what will happen with this? Is it just going to be him running through all of Team Taz, or does he eventually bring the group onto his side? He definitely had some good points against Taz that if those guys were listening, I don't know if I would stick with them. So. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, and then we get Chris Statlander versus Penelope Ford. Kip Sabian tried to get involved at one point, but Orange Cassidy made the save, and Statlander picked up the victory. This was fine. And that's good, in my opinion. Like, that's what we need to see from, especially Penelope Ford, I would say. Not to say that she's had bad matches, but just have a string of decent matches and then follow it up with a great one. Very similar to the Tay Conti formula, right? Because Tay wasn't having stellar matches before the one that really blew us away. But she was having really good ones and kind of went on a win streak and had people paying attention to her. Then the match comes and it's amazing, right? So if Penelope can just have good matches, that's all we need. So, and they're slowly building up Stat where she could be someone. We're talking about Britt versus Thunder really early, but then after that, it could be very quickly Stat after that. So they're doing a great job with this women's division. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with it, but everything I've seen on Dark Elevation, the way they're kind of taking care of some of the girls that might not be featured on Dynamite yet, but getting them ready to be, they're doing a good job. And then the women that are featured on Dynamite are great. So this is a good spot to be, especially for Stat. So we got a cool little promo video for 10, talking about how much it means to become the champion because of Brody Lee. This was a good promo video. It adds. I like that they're doing these because, especially for someone like 10, where you might not have as much confidence in them winning, it gives you a sliver of belief, right? Definitely not. Yeah, and I think I was thinking about it. Well, I'll talk about it when we talk about the match, but yeah, this was a good promo. We then get the second to last match of the night with the Factory coming out. They stole the Nightmare Collective bus, and they pick up the victory here, beating Lee Johnson, Dustin Rhodes, and Billy Gunn post-match. They won, brother. They won. I won. That's his gimmick. He's supposed to. Colton and Austin Gunn make the save. Or not make the save, but they attack QT post-match. He goes to bail to the bus. While he's bailing to the bus, Camarado and what's his name are attacking the Gunn brothers. He goes to get in the bus, and fucking Cody Rhodes is on the bus, of course. Beats up QT. They get on top of the bus. People crowd the bus. Fucking Aubrey's on the bus. What are you doing, Aubrey? Like, yeah. And I love it. Nah. Aubrey being up there makes me okay with him not throwing him, right? Because she's the voice of reason. She explains to Cody not to. I get that. That at least makes some sense to me. But all I'm thinking in this when I'm watching Aubrey go up there is like, I hope that wasn't planned. Like, and I think it was. I 100% think someone told her to. But as I'm watching it, I'm like, I wish like she just got caught up in the moment and is trying to set and like, yeah, climb the bus and is just like, fuck, I'm already up here. Got to stick with it. Break it up. But no, it was fine. I think it sets up the match that they're gonna have pretty well. I think he should have been. Cody, he's not that bad of a guy where he's gonna kill him, right? So if Cody's not gonna get dumped off the bus, well, and it's still his best friend, right? So I can understand Cody not throwing him off the bus. I just wish QT could have. I wish QT could have thrown him off the bus because that's how it should have gone. First of all, you hit me with a bus when we were like 12 and kicked me out of Squiggle TNA Squiggle, but we're not gonna talk about that here. So. Yeah, this was good though. I think this is a good way to build up Cody versus QT, and that's next week, right? So that's a big one to me, I think, and they're getting a lot. They're getting all of the names you want to see on next week's card, so that's cool.
Like faces of the company, you could argue a lot of these people, a lot of the names on this card.
Mm-hmm. Faces in future, right? I mean, except for does Hangman have a match? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think so.
So it's not all of them, but. Yeah.
Cody and Kenny and like fucking
Mox, everybody.
Mox. That's what I was thinking of. Yes.
What did you think of this next segment? Because I've seen a lot of mainly negative reaction, I guess, on social media. Miro attacks Kip Sabian. He puts his arm in the door to pay his dues, but then he hugs him. Comes back in. He hugs him. He says,
"He forgives him.
I forgive you.
I forgive you."
Did you like it?
Yeah.
I did too. I'm glad that
trigger warning for people who have been in domestic relationship abuse.
What the fuck?
Because that's what people were saying. I saw anyways. I saw people saying that. Yeah, like, oh, I guess it's a domestic like abuse like kind of gimmick here. Like he's gonna be manipulative and evil and abusive, and Kip has to get out of the relationship. And like when you think about it, yeah, then I guess that is fucked up to do a wrestling angle over.
This isn't the first time this angle's ever been done, though.
You're right.
My thing. Like.
And it's like with him hugging him and everything. It's fucked up a little bit.
I get it, but I mean, he's a freaking bad guy in wrestling, bro. Like, I really don't know how to get out of this segment at this point without sounding like a dickhead, but that's his gimmick. Like, that's the story. I'm not saying that.
I agree.
And it's not, like, if it was actually portrayed in that situation as, like, a relationship with a domestic dispute, then, like, yes, I understand it a little more. This is manipulation in wrestling. Like, this happens between characters all the time, where one wrestler manipulates another wrestler. I think
it was the hugging that got people.
And I'm not gonna lie, I get it. Like, I understand people, the trigger warning aspect of it. It made me laugh a little bit, or I might have joked on it when you said it. But I can understand it. I do. Get it.
I could too.
But it's tough, man, and I don't know. I don't know then at that point how if AEW should continue it or whatever, because I think that the story is interesting of him being a psycho who like wants to be Kip's friend but beats down Kip, but at the same time,
like you said, it's prototypical wrestling shit. It's not like they're ending a relationship or anything.
And I could understand people being negative on that, like.
And also, wrestling companies actually have done domestic, domestic abuse relationships on TV, and
that was at a different time, right?
Chris Hero or whatever.
At a different time for sure, but still, well, like, Yeah, and even on the independent side, like, it gets even worse when you think about some of the stuff that happened back in the day. But that's then. This is now. Like, things are obviously different. I get people's potential, like, again, especially the trigger warning aspect. Someone who may have been through something like this, I definitely don't want to downplay the way that seeing this could make you feel watching it on a television show where you're definitely not expecting to be affected in that way.
Yes.
That is unfortunate. Maybe there's a way that they can portray this angle in a little bit better of a fashion. I will say overall, take out any of the story part of this. I need Miro to have a match, and, like, why isn't he beating the shit out of Darby? Why isn't he beating the shit out of Kenny? Like, why is it Kip right now that he keeps going after? I can't. Does he just really actually only want to be tag team champion? So he's mad that Kip's a fucking loser, or what? Because he
I don't know. That's a good question. You make a good point with that, though. Maybe that is why.
The story of it for me just doesn't click too much, and that's what sucks. Like, it's almost been a month probably of him cutting these promos and doing this stuff, and the first thing he does of relevance is attack his former partner for essentially no reason. So I would like to understand it a little more. I would like to, because him versus Darby just makes sense, or it made sense a week ago. Now it definitely doesn't. So I don't know. I like him and Kip's story right now, right? But I don't like that he hasn't done anything to actually chase a title like he said. So, and that's that. That's that segment. We have Darby defending the title versus 10. He retains, of course. I definitely never thought that Darby was going to lose to 10.
Yeah, no.
Especially not now. I think there's going to be a lot of guys who I think get TNT title matches, might not win them, but that they're foreshadowing a future potential run or something. Like 10 could get another match in 3 months, and I would actually believe it if they build him up the right way. This could be the beginning. Brad comes of that. Good showing for 10, though. He looked pretty good. Ethan Page at a point got involved, almost cost Darby the title, but like I said, Darby did retain. Post-match, Ethan Page continued his assault. Scorpio Sky got involved and attacked Sting. God, I didn't know when
Lance Archer comes down, and somebody else was there too. I don't remember, but Lance Archer was like, "Rah!" and scared him off.
I just don't want this.
Yeah.
I just don't. And that's what I was gonna get to the Archer thing, but I just first wanted to say, like, when this team came about of Scorp and Ethan, like, I didn't know, like, I wasn't against it, right? Like, I was like, this could be interesting, but I didn't want them going after Darby and Sting. Yeah. I didn't want it to become a tag team, man. Like, they're a freaking tag team. Why are they both gonna go after the TNT title and then turn on each other when neither one? Like, I don't. And I guess I'm not even mad at that angle, but I'm not booking the show, so I don't expect it to go that way.
No, I don't know. It is weird that you're having a tag team go after Darby and Sting, but I guess it's not weird because it's Darby and Sting. I guess Sting wants to do shit, is what I get out of it.
Shouldn't they be mad that they're not in that tag team fatal 4-way next week? Or they might be. I don't think so, though.
I don't think so. Also, like, what the fuck is Lance Archer doing?
Well, Jake the Snake, he talked about it on Dark.
Yeah, I know, but, like, what the fuck is he?
He told him. I mean, honestly, I don't think Jake knew either. I think based on the commentary he was giving, he was like, I don't know. I just kind of let this guy do whatever he wants. But there's a plan. I don't know. We'll see. I think that could turn into something. And I don't want to sound like we're bearing the end of this, but I thought, like, this is my issue. We have a tag team going after Darby. We have a singles competitor in Miro not going after Darby. Like, they could have been in that fatal 4-way. We could have Miro attacking Darby to close out the show. Like, to me, that makes a lot more sense building up to that rather than maybe Darby and Sting versus, or I guess it would probably end up being Darby and Archer versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky.
Which is even weirder that it's not Sting. Like, what the fuck is Sting doing then?
Well, and that's to, like, maybe have Archer turn on Darby right after the match and then set up a title match between those two. That is, I get that booking. I get that line of booking, but I don't know, again, that's going to happen. Meh. I mean, I'm not mad about it. I think that Scorp and Ethan Page are interesting contenders, but again, they were just put into a tag team. I thought we were going to see more of that rather than
tag
what this has become. Yeah, I mean, but apparently, and I can be okay with this. I just have to get used to it. I'm definitely not used to just two singles coming together as a tag team, but still acting like singles when they need to. And this is kind of that. Like, I can get that, but it's different. It's a foreign world to me. I'll have to see what they do here with these two guys before I really think about what this is, because it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. It's kind of, it didn't leave me feeling satisfied, but what will leave me
This week,
leave
Darby will probably be like, "All right, open challenge.
Yeah.
Listen, Tony Khan, pick between these two idiots that were bullying me last week and put me in a title match with them."
But like I don't really care that this match like kind of like this show kind of ended on a weak note because like next week is gonna be so fucking baller. I don't care.
Well, yeah, and they knew that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton were about to go to the finish on the other channel, so they knew they had to keep it boring, so that way people weren't tuning out of something impressive, right? So, no, this was it's a weird finish to me. Like I'm good with it, but Darby versus 10. I hope that they continue to establish the TNT title as a main event belt though, because we have joked about it, but they've now been consistent for at least 2 weeks, and if they remain consistent, I won't joke about it as much. Well, I probably will joke about it forever.
I'll still joke about
to be
it,
totally
yeah.
honest, but I will appreciate it if they always keep it on last. That will be my honest assessment of that. Championship and how they've built it up is that if they do keep it at the finish, I would love to keep that joke running. And I hope that it does always finish the show because it does add legitimacy to it. So,
Yeah.
overall, Dynamite was fine. Nothing crazy necessarily, I would say. Nothing like insane, but it was good. It was good Dynamite, and that's again what you need to anticipate, especially ahead of a big one. I feel like AEW just treats their go home shows a little bit differently, where it's not necessarily let's give you a jam-packed show ahead of a jam-packed show. Like this is a regular show. Next week's is going to be really jam-packed and crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where we're at. It's gonna next week's Dynamite's gonna be very interesting. We'll be back on Tuesday to wrap up or to discuss the card, give our thoughts on the 3 or 4 matches and all of that. AJ, anything I forgot before we wrap up and get out of here?
Nothing that I can remember. No.
Well,
We might though. We have 2 guys who can remember things sometimes.
well, they both will be here next Thursday. I think we're gonna have all 4 guys so we can run down Blood and Guts, kind of the way we plan to do on big shows and pay-per-views. So it should be fun. It should be interesting to get the 4 of us in one conversation and see
4
what everybody
horsemen.
thinks. Yeah, the 4 horsemen of the Too Sweet Elite, brother. So yeah, we're about wrapped up. AJ, let them know where to find you if they haven't figured it out in the last 160 weeks.
Yeah, you can follow me at AJ the Fitzy on basically his social media.
All
Too
of them.
sweet.
Every social media.
Instagram, YouTube, baby, Twitter, all of them. Too sweet, baby. Hit me up.
You can catch me on Instagram at Andrew Kazir. I'm on Twitter at Too Sweet Elite. Catch the podcast on Facebook, facebook.com/AllElitePod. YouTube, youtube.com/AllElitePodcast. Instagram at All Elite Everything. And Twitter at All Elite Podcast. Over the next couple of weeks, as I wrap up college, I'm going to have more time to be getting clips and stuff on all of those platforms. So I do encourage you to like and share and all that stuff on them as you can now, because we will start actually having rolling content, consistent content, because I'm not so busy. And that should be a little bit more interesting for everybody. So also, if you're tuned in still and you're listening to us on iTunes, please go and give us a review and a 5-star review and a like and all that good shit, because it's always appreciated. But